Okay, we are online. Hey, everybody out there. Sorry for the delay. Working out some technical issues on my end. And yeah, so welcome back to the Erasmus Expeditions. We are going to be playing Dowrenland tonight as the setting. It's going to be Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. The setting is kind of a combination of Alice in Wonderland, Wizard of Oz, some other fairy tales kind of thrown in there and kind of given a dark wash. So hopefully it's going to be a really fun game. I'm really excited about this game. I've got 5 new players, not new players, 5. Oh God, I was about to call you old players. 5 players that were first seen 7 months ago in the first part of this game. So we're going to pick up effectively right where we left off and do our best to make sure we keep up the same things we were doing before, I hope. But let's also make it a lot of new fun. So, although it is kind of based on childish settings, kid-friendly settings, this is probably not going to be a kid-friendly video. It's just kind of the way things are here on this channel. I don't curb my language the way I probably should whenever I'm running games, and frankly, I don't want to. So the mature topics kind of crop up occasionally as well. So this is a warning. And if that kind of stuff bothers you, then exit stage left. So yeah, before I ramble on too much longer, I'm going to hand it off to my 5 beautiful players this evening. And speaking of beautiful, the lovely, luscious Dave Hubble.
Wow, luscious. I think I'm the oldest one in the group, too, so that's fine if you want to call me old. I'm used to it. I'm Dave with Mournblade Gaming, and I'm looking forward to actually shaking out the old bones of Severine Gilbeau and his Raven Dempsey. See what kind of shenanigans we can get into. Yeah, let's cook this up.
Serve it on fried rice. All right, Connor, I'll let you guys fight over which one.
We decided a long time ago that I'm always going to be Connor number 2.
Yeah, and I'm always Connor number 1, so... All right, who's going to be... I mean, number 1 goes first, right?
I guess it depends on how you're counting. But for now, let's say, yeah, number 1, you can go first.
Awesome. I'm Connor number 1. I'm with Dice on Ice, half of it. And I'm playing Brutus, a warlock of a Fey patron who made a bargain to hide their true self because they think that they're ugly. And they actually are. And so Brutus is a very suave, attractive, blonde man who is kind of a little bit incompetent, but at least he, can bring out a chuckle in everyone else. I'm really excited to play this game after a long hiatus and looking forward to see what kind of shenanigans happen.
Absolutely, man. Me too. I'm really, really, really pumped for this game. Connor number 2. That's you with the thing playing next to you. Oh, no. Now there's 3 Connors. This is too much Connor for one channel. Avert your eyes. Connor, would you like to introduce yourself and your character this evening? Whichever one of you wants to do it. But first, you're probably going to have to unmute your microphone.
Just trying to get the thing playing so that it's paused so that you don't get copyrighted.
Okay, cool. Well, before that happens, Megan.
All right, yeah. Hey, everyone. I am the other half of the YouTube channel Dice on Ice, and today I will be playing the great mystical fortune teller Amalia Vandercroft. And I'm very excited for this game. Been looking forward to it for a while, so I am very excited to get into it. Thanks again for having me, and I'm excited to play with all of you.
Excellent. All right, Connor 2. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, then take it away.
All right. So tonight I am playing Scratch Turismo. He is a tabaxi swashbuckler, and he tries to make people think that he's crazy so that they don't suspect that he did anything wrong. Because why would you suspect a crazy person? That's insane.
I'm pretty sure I know people like that in real life. All right. And last but certainly not least, Steve.
Hey, I'm Steve. I recently started a YouTube channel, so it's got its first episode of the first campaign. It's called 3D6, so THREEDYSIX. You can check it out. It's got like Alex Skelett and Swamper Rob and DBJ are all playing in it. I'll be playing Twanger, the reluctant travel along partner. Even that's too embracing. Reluctant bird. Yeah. Just hate. So much hate. But I'm looking forward to this. Little known fact, I actually sabotaged the game last time when we were supposed to play like 2.5 months ago because I wasn't going to be able to be there. So I called in some celestial favors, and here we are now.
So I have you to thank for all of that shit.
Crap. The cover's blown. I'm out.
That's funny as hell. Awesome. Yeah. Dude, this is going to be so much fun. Your character's voice it's like the shit that I grew up with, like the cartoons that I grew up with, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Don Bluth.
keep talking about it. Keep talking about it. Come
I
over
love
here,
it.
ring your face.
Absolutely love it. It's like some weird character from my childhood in Stitch had a baby.
Right. Yeah.
Love it.
It's fun.
Awesome. Okay. So, if there's not any questions or pressing business or anything of that nature, we can go ahead and roll into this if you guys are ready. Missed somebody in the description. What? What did I do? Oh no, what did I mess up?
That's Connor's channel.
Oh, excellent. Cool. Yeah, I'll make sure I put you up there. Okay. Last time, the 5 of you had pursued an albino halfling through a rather nasty rainstorm. After having kind of received a partial prophecy that you should follow the whitest man, and you did. You followed him out of town to an abandoned manor house where you trapped him, more or less, to an armoire that was covered up, had a mirror in the back of it, and to make a long story short, you traveled through this mirror and found yourselves in a very bizarre, unique place that was altogether different from where you had come from. You met with this albino halfling, although it was not an albino halfling at all anymore, but instead a white rabbit, who was very obsessed with time and being late. But he did take the time to sit down with his cousin at an enormous tea party that was just the two of them until you showed up. And his cousin was odd, to say the least. He had multiple personalities, and there was a lot of warning about his other personality. Well, eventually this other personality began to show up, and he began to physically change. And on the behest of your companion, Enya, the white rabbit, you got out of there as fast as you could, only to find out that you were on a very small island in the middle of a very big lake. You were informed that this lake is called the Pool of Tears, the water level of which apparently rises and falls in conjunction with the sadness of the denizens that live here. And the White Rabbit was very shocked to see how high the water level had gotten. There was a small boat that ended up showing up just in time. This boat is made out of an enormous turtle shell and is piloted by 3 blue-skinned elves. As far as you can tell, they look like they may be aquatic. You have been told that they are known as kesir. So, as the 5 of you kind of get onto this boat, what is it that we see?
Well, I imagine at this point, Twanger is standing at the edge of the dock, sort of impatiently tapping his clawed talon and drumming his feathered fingers across the modified loot that he carries, staring at his pet lizard, the dragonborn that he travels with, and shaking his head at the slow, depressing, plodding temper tantrum of him moving.
Do you think you could... So, let's see, what was it last time? Yeah, you're irritating, and irritate, and always be a drag. Just please go. Can you mope on the boat? We're all gonna be late. You know, at this point, we're gonna be late for our funerals. I'm gonna die of old. Do you know how long I live? It's not that long. Come on.
And he'll just feathers start coming off as he waves his little wings, trying to encourage the lizard man onto the boat.
And there's like this lumberingness to his gait. He's just 1 foot in front of the other, kind of just sighing, just looking at his feet, his weird, disgusting, scaled and taloned feet. He's just 1 step to the next, and just slowly plodding, much to the chagrin of everyone else around him.
The Kesir kind of talking amongst themselves in a language that's not altogether dissimilar to Elven. If anybody understands Elven, they kind of hear them saying something to the effect of, he seems to have dipped himself in the water. He's touched the water of the pool of tears, or drank it. Something to that effect. And one of them says, well, should we give it to him or not? Should we make him wait it out? The other one says, no, let's give it to him. And one of them produces a small leather pouch. He opens it and kind of digs his finger down inside and pulls it out, and there's kind of this yellow powder, very finely ground powder, kind of stuck to his finger. And he kind of thrusts it in the face of the Dragonborn and kind of offers, hey.
With like slow movement of his like head down from skulking, and looks up very mopily. What? Is that for me? Do you pity me?
He's kind of laughing. He offers it again. Are you speaking in Elven or just in Common?
I don't know Elven, so
Okay.
I'd just be speaking in Common.
Yeah, he's definitely just kind of snickering, and he keeps kind of, hey. And he kind of points to his nose.
It's fine. Just carry on. Just forget about me.
Would you please just shove his finger up your nose? If that's what it takes to get on the boat, finger up the nose. Come
It's not
on.
like my opinion matters anyways.
Just shove your finger in his nose. Just finger.
I just kind of indicate with my pinky, like Just ram it in there. Just
And he kind of looks like questioningly, like that's what I should do.
I nod very vigorously, yes.
Okay, he starts to kind of wrestle with you, and kind of almost put you in a headlock.
Whatever. It's it's no worse than what the bullies in the schoolyard did to me.
Oh my god.
So yeah, he like doesn't even like resist. He's just so resigned and in a slump that whatever, maybe it'll pass, maybe not. It's not like it matters anyways. Kind of mentality.
He kind of like puts this powder kind of on the end of your nostrils, and with the first inhalation, you start to feel better. You start to feel not great, but balanced out. Just you've gone from being really down low back to being a little more normal, a little more right in the world. Apparently, this stuff is called Fey powder.
Immediately, like you can just see the life kind of spring back to his face and his form and physique and such, as he unslouches and rights himself, and his chin's up properly, and his hands are no longer like at his side, really relaxed and nonchalant. He's regained his composure, and if a dragonborn can blush, that's what he'd be doing at the embarrassment at the scene he had been causing for the past whatever half hour that it had been since he touched this pool, this lake of tears. And immediately he kind of like starts stammering and, I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to. Jeez, I'm sorry. Will you forgive me? I didn't mean to hold you up so much. Jeez,
Scratch will clap him on the back and say, "Don't worry, we all have our bad moments."
Yeah, thanks. And he's just like kind of covering his face in the cowl of his hood.
Say, that stuff looks really, really interesting. I'm sure my clients, my dear friends, would be very interested in that. Could I maybe try some?
The one that had just handed some to your dragonborn companion kind of, and he's speaking Elven. I don't know if you understand it or not, but
yes, she does understand Elven.
Okay. He says, "You want some?"
Yes. I would love to see what kind of effects it has.
Have you been wet? Have you been in the lake?
She kind of looks at him for a second. She says, yes.
Okay. He shrugs and he gives you some.
And she takes it and she kind of like just puts it the same way as the guy did with Brutus, just kind of like putting it on her nose and just kind of like inhaling it a bit.
Yeah, so because he started off being dipped in the pool of tears and suffering from quite a bit of depression and sadness from its contact, and this stuff has brought him kind of back to the normal. Since you started more or less at the normal, this has pushed you an equal amount towards the other end of the spectrum. You are incredibly euphoric right now, and you actually find it kind of difficult to not levitate off the ground physically.
As soon as she does so, she says, "Oh man, this stuff is really, really interesting. I think I'd really like to try it again sometime, especially with my clients. I think that'd be really, really great."
So you weren't getting any for us?
You? Meow?
Scratch will say in the most eloquent Elven he can manage, "No, thank you, I'm fine."
It was about this time that she started talking really loud, like exuberantly and just excitedly, that Severine is, you actually hear him, "Oh, quiet. What is, I feel like I've slept 7 months. Where are we? Dempsey, report."
Caw, caw.
Oh, you shit on me again. Oh, it's you. Okay. Where were we again?
Oh, it's gotta be so wonderful to be so old. You wake up just looking forward to being dead. Can we get on the boat now? There's a boat.
I would imagine as you're looking back, I'm already getting on the boat. Slowly, of course, like an old man, but
Hey, if you want, these guys will wrestle you and pick your nose.
you know, there was a bathhouse once that oh, that's a story for another time.
Yeah. Another time that, like maybe the third Thursday of next week.
Right.
That'd be great. Okay, so
Might happen here. Boat?
yeah, but you're on it. You stay there. Good man. Good old man. All right, come on, kitty. That's
Well, you're later. You go on first, and he's going to push Striker onto the boat.
hate you all.
All right. Well, I'm gonna plod towards the back and sit down, throw one leg over a rail, and just start plucking dramatically at this one terrible note on this.
And that is when I drowned them all. No survivor doesn't rhyme. Who cares? No survivors.
At least you're not bored anymore.
Oh, what I wouldn't give to be bored and alone and far away from your smelly old man self.
Do I need a bath already?
I'd say you could jump in a lake, but you'd probably die. Hey, jump in a lake.
Oh, that's not in the cards today. Now, come on. I'm not getting any younger. The spring chicken is ready to ride.
Spring chicken's ready to rot.
Are you talking about Twanger? And then on into the boat.
Well, wait for me, as Brutus, regains the composure and just like, hey, I'm super confident again, and kind of hops onto the boat as well.
Does anybody bring along your floating female companion?
Do we have to?
She's kind of having a hard time swimming through the air. It's not really doing a whole lot.
I'll go back out there and grab like the hem of her skirt and or pants and just walk her back like a little kid with a balloon.
This is so fun to catch you on fire.
Yeah, and Analea this whole time has just been like talking excitedly about everything, just like the sky, the water, she says, "Oh, did I ever mention that I really love your hat? Like, it's so great."
Thank you. Here, there's a very interesting knot in this wood. You should look at it.
I'm gonna push her into the boat.
Oh, wow, you're so right. I never even noticed that before.
So, as all of you have now boarded this turtle shell boat with these blue aquatic drug dealing elves, you kind of discover as you're sailing away from this small island that, if you hadn't figured it out yet, that this water kind of poisons you almost with the depression and the sadness that it's made up of. And apparently this other stuff, this Fey powder, is almost like a diametric opposite. It makes you incredibly euphoric, makes you feel good, and apparently it's made from ground up fairies. That's right. They dry them out once they kill them because they dry out like leaves instead of decaying bodies. Then they ground them up in a mortar and pestle, and you just snorted them up your nose.
Is an elf or part Fey.
Yeah, well, I had I've had a few in my life, but yeah, that's a story for another time.
You have a lot of stories.
Shh. Maybe he'll forget them.
Come on. You're a bard. You like stories, probably.
You're a cat. You like swimming, right?
I mean, not in this water.
Then I'd be quiet.
Hey, no fighting here. Come on, we're all friends. Brutus kind of like spreads a big wide-armed kind of hug just to have everyone get along.
Look, he's back. I kind of preferred you in the water.
Scratch will wrap his arms around Brutus and say, yeah, of course.
Come in here, you little scruffy bird thing, you.
I
Come
will
on.
peck you. I'll peck your eyes out.
That's no way to treat a friend. Come on.
Oh, please, just row the boat, sail the boat, but fly the boat. I don't care.
All right, well, you're missing out. And Scratch here can surely admit that Brutus gives one of the best hugs. Come on. All right, 3, 2, 1, you missed it. Here you go. And then Brutus just like, waddles off because he tried his best to have everyone get along, but Twanger here is being a little bit obstinate. And he's going to kind of like lean against the railing of the ship, kind of looking off into the distance, seeing the land kind of flow by them very slowly. What does he see on the horizon?
Currently are kind of on a southerly course, you figure, as long as the sun rises and sets in the same fashion as it does where you're from. But you are headed south, judging by that, and it looks like there's a very, very large, very, very old forest on that shore that kind of extends as far as you can see in all directions on that half of the lake. It looks like you're kind of headed for possibly the mouth of a river that kind of runs away from this lake.
And using this he's leaning over the rail and he sees the water shimmering and he catches his own reflection. This ugly, distorted, scaly monstrosity of a reflection. And he can't help but like shiver in his boots at just how disgusted and kind of fearful of how he looks. And he kind of like closes his eyes, wincing, and reopens them to see a human form, broad-muscled, charming, dashing looking, kind of knightly kind of looking person, dressed in more prettier garb, a human. And he's kind of shakes a little bit of dust on his shoulder off, and a little smile creeps across his lips as he's no longer ugly.
Severine actually kind of says, you know, sometimes it's best to be yourself. And he kind of looks over at Twanger and he says, take Twanger, for example. He's expressive, doesn't hold back, tells you exactly what's on his beak. You know, that's the best way to live. There's no regrets.
I regret meeting you.
All right, well, you're not the first.
Hopefully I'm the last.
You continue to sail on, nearing this river, and soon you find yourself under the canopy of these ancient trees. It's very actually kind of idyllic. The water, though moving quickly, is rather smooth, and it's not very bumpy. And you hear birds, insects, kind of the late summer look to things. It's very, very picturesque, almost literally picturesque. Kind of a little too perfect. But as you're kind of sailing down this river, you get the feeling that you're being watched. Kind of little flits of shadow, kind of here or there, against the way that the trees are blowing. When you look, there's nothing there. But there's definitely something there.
Scratch is going to be looking up at the trees and sort of mutter to himself, this reminds me of something. This, can't place it.
Is it a tree? Does it remind you of trees?
It reminds him of a scratching post. Ha 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 ha.
This reminds me I don't want to be here. Hey, old guy. Hey, old guy.
Yes.
You're in between your napping over there. Do you get the feeling that we're being I don't know, watched?
Yeah, I think that while Amalia has quite the beautiful voice, she's being very expressive at the moment. She is, I have never heard someone describe a knot in wood in so many different ways.
I mean, I've heard people talk about being naughty, but not like that. But up in the
It
trees.
could be the spirits.
Oh boy.
The spirits, they always watch. And you kind of notice that she's like, just kind of like floated over, like kind of doing a bit of like a handstand on the rail, just like trying to keep herself down.
I can't wait to tell her she snorted Tinkerbell.
Ah, fairy dust. Yep, was probably wearing boots. I'm going to turn to the elf and ask him. Yes, boatman. Is it normal to be observed as we are in Elven?
He kind of looks and he says, yes, we're being followed by my people. They are making sure that you are safe. Making sure that you aren't bringing trouble.
Did he just say that the lake elves are in the trees watching us? Because, that doesn't really,
You've actually noticed that since you've entered the forest, that these kesir don't look the same. It's been a gradual change, but their skin has flaked off, almost like scales. And their gills have disappeared. The webbing between their fingers and toes seems to have retreated. Matter of fact, you don't see their toes anymore. They have hooved feet and almost goat-like legs from the waist down. They've also grown antlers out of their heads, similar to deer. And their ears look a lot more like elf, but kind of also like goat ears. And it's the same three guys that you've been sailing with the whole time.
That is an amazing trick. You will have to show me how to do that one day.
Are you so impressed? You've seen our friend right here do it all the time. And I'll pat Brutus on the chest.
Ah, crap, you're right. Maybe he's contagious.
Maybe he's part elf.
Brutus, can you grow antlers?
Hey, are you a goat?
Well, you mean like this? And he snaps his fingers in a very like outlandish fashion, and poof, yeah, like these outrageous, like exorbitant, maybe even a little bit decorated or whatever antlers, just of whatever would kind of pop on his head, as if they were conjured by smoke.
Hey, I don't say this often, but that's an improvement. You should run with that.
No, I like the more casual look, as he kind of like snaps his fingers and removes them once again.
Can I get an insight on these guys just to see these elves, whatever they are?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, natural 20, so that's a 25.
As far as the insight you were looking for, just whether they're...
Well, one, I'm looking to see if they look offended at what we just did with Brutus. But secondly, I turn to them and say, is our destination safe? Truly safe? I mean, our friend Scratch gets kind of catty, if you know what I mean.
But
they do not seem to be offended. Some of them kind of snickered as he was doing it. They didn't seem to take any offense at all. But when you ask about the destination being safe, he just kind of nods. Yes, we're well within the lands of my father. The father, Baja. This is his forest. You will be safe here. But we are taking you to the bridge. Bridge goes over the water and is a yellow road.
Would this yellow road happen to be made of bricks?
Yes, you know it.
Somewhat.
Good. You should have no trouble finding your way to where you are going. We will press on.
Would we just have to follow the yellow brick road?
That is up to you. It gets you to places faster. Okay. You never see any sign of whoever it is that's stalking you in the trees. Even if you're kind of looking straight at the canopy, it's just not simply there. And eventually, you do see a bridge that kind of arcs across the river. And they pull the boat over and kind of moor it to a gnarled tree root that's kind of sticking up out of the ground. where it looks like the soil is probably eroded out from underneath of it.
Well, I guess this is where we get off. As a point of education, if that lake is full of sad people's tears, this river is the same way.
Because no, the effect, the darkness, is the lake only.
Huh. Sure, that makes sense.
I'll get out of the boat, and as I do, I'll grab the hem of the pants or skirt, and I'll pull her along behind me.
You know, at some point, this has got to wear off, right? Watch your head. Watch your head. Oh, phew.
And I'll walk over and I'll stand on the gnarled branch holding my my balloon.
Well, thank you for your custom and courtesy and guiding us in this path. Thank you. He kind of like tips his little hat and maybe offers a handshake or a bow or something. That very, very courteous and noble to these sailors as he also steps off.
Thank you all very much, Scratch would say, and he'd lick one of them on the cheek as he climbed out of the boat.
He definitely kind of, almost recline or pulls away just a little, but he doesn't seem as bothered by it as maybe like a human would be. You definitely get the feeling that they probably live pretty close with a lot of animals. So even though it's a sentient beast, it's maybe not quite as weird as you might think.
Yes, thank you. As he come, Dempsey. He sends Dempsey off ahead, and he kind of flutters past Twanger, kind of messes with him a little bit, and then as he flies around ahead, just about 20 or 30 feet ahead. I think he's grown an attachment to you.
You know what they say, birds of a feather.
You know what they say about cats?
Yeah, we got 9 lives.
You could say that he's pecked a good friend.
Nope, that's it. I'm leaving you all. Here, hold her. It was fun. No, it wasn't. It was terrible. Somewhere this direction is some sort of yellow road.
All right, we need to give him some of that dust.
No.
He just has to have it. All right? Hold him down, Scratch. Hold him down.
You
We
don't
have
want
to
to
give
do
him
that.
that dust.
You don't.
And I kind of choke up on the violin / lute like a baseball bat.
You don't. I wouldn't.
All right. Calm down.
I wasn't going to stick my finger in your nose anyway.
I'm worried about you licking me. In fact, I'm not even sure you were licking them. You might have been tasting them. Your predatory instincts.
Well,
Look, a ball of yarn.
Nah. Where?
I hate you.
We love you too, Twanger.
So as you have disembarked from the turtle shell boat onto this embankment, and the kesir, along with the white rabbit, have bid you goodbye. They continue to sail somewhat west-southwest, further into this large forest. As you kind of climb up the somewhat steep embankment, using roots and things, you end up finding a road that crosses the bridge, quite literally paved with yellow bricks. And extends in both directions in kind of a wandering path for several miles, it looks like, in both directions. What would you like to do?
Is there a rock next to the road?
There are lots of them.
Do any of them have moss on a particular side?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, probably on the north side, it looks like. Your guess would be, judging by the sun.
Scratch would look at them and he'd point in the direction of the moss and he'd say, "That way."
And what makes you so confident of that? Scratch.
I heard that the side of the rock that has moss, it points to civilization, whereas the one that doesn't have moss.
Well, that's very odd. I've heard the exact opposite thing.
Or maybe we could follow the road.
But the road is two directions, my pretty damsel.
That's just a matter of perspective. I see.
Oh, my mistake. Tell us, then, oh great and wise Amalea, what do we do?
I must converse with the spirits. But I would... Do any of you have any gold or silver or anything like that?
I
You
have
see,
some.
it helps with the connectivity between my mind and that of the spirits.
I have shinies.
Just to be certain, you said it helps with the connectivity?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Does
What kind of shinies do you
either...
need?
Just anything.
Any
That
shinies?
is metal. Preferably fine metal. It really does help.
Scratch would fling his backpack out in front of him. He'd open it. He'd dig around for probably 30 seconds before pulling out this. And he'd hold up a small pendant that has like a jaguar's head.
What is it made out of?
It's silver and the jaguar head is made out of amber.
Oh, yes, that will do very, very well. Yes, that would make the connection very strong.
I just want this back when you're done. It means a lot to me.
Yes, yes, of course, of course.
Okay, here you go. He'll hand it to
and she's
the
gonna-
floating Amalia.
And she's gonna take it and like close her eyes very tightly. Kind of spin around in the air if she can, but it's very awkward. And she's gonna make just a regular insight check, just to see if there's a way that kind of makes sense. Or investigation, I guess, as she's like just biding time to see if she can make just like a normal.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely sounds like it might be probably insight at this point, as both of them look pretty much the same.
Okay. That's a 9.
So, yeah, you're kind of having a hard time getting any real sense as to which might be better. You don't see or hear anything. But then you do see something. Kind of at the edge of the fog. Just kind of, at first you think it might just be one of the trees, but then it kind of shuffles a little and comes closer. You realize that it's a single axle cart being pulled by a very old horse. Very swayback, old looking mare. And there's a single hooded driver sitting on the front seat with a very large black bird on its shoulder.
Ah, see, the spirits work in mysterious ways. They have given us a person to aid us in the decision of where we should go.
Can the person with my amulet give it back now, please?
She kind of holds on to it and she looks at it for a bit and... Sure. Here you are. And she gives it back, but paying very careful mind to what pocket he put it in. Or where he put it in, back in his bag or whatever.
Thank you. And he'll put it into the big main pocket with all of the rest of his junk.
Quite superbly done. Could not have done it better myself. Congratulations. I am glad we have such a competent wizard in our midst.
We have two.
What's that? We have two?
Yeah. You have two wizards.
I only count one. Unless you're counting myself, of course. He's like, I'm kind of blushing. I mean, I do have...
Yeah, you're great at magic, too.
Yeah. So, thank you. And he just, kind of walks off.
I haven't
to
seen
approach to approach the wagon person.
As you kind of walk towards the wagon, somewhat away from the rest of your party, the wagon squeaks ever closer as the horse kind of slowly clops along. You notice a very long white beard kind of sticking out of the bottom of the hood. And you realize that it's an incredibly old man. And he has a rather large crow on his shoulder. He kind of squints a little in your direction, kind of straining, like he might see somebody. And then when he realizes that you're actually there, he kind of straightens himself up and raises a hand to kind of give you a feeble wave.
Severine actually starts walking forward determinedly and looks at him in the eye as Dempsey comes and settles on his shoulder. Like, you see his eyebrows bristle as he's looking at him, very serious. You look familiar. Have we met?
I was thinking the same thing. You look like me, I think.
No, I think I'm more handsome, but that's okay.
To be sure. Yes. To be sure. It's good to see people on the road. It's been some time. Many days. You look unusual. Some of you.
Oh, it's more than you'd think. And Scratch kind of winks at...
Where do you head? Where are you going?
That is a very good question. Does anyone know where we're going?
Oh, please forgive if the question was too prying. I do not mean to ask too much of you. It is not my business, I suppose.
No, I just really don't know where we're going. Does anyone? Do you guys?
You found yourself lost?
Oh, we just got off a boat.
Oh, I see. Yes, of course, it makes sense. Oh, well, I'm headed to visit an old friend.
Oh, I like friends.
Hope they're not much older than you are.
Oh, quite. I think. You are welcome to come if you'd like, but I think it will be somewhat of a sad affair, I'm afraid.
Oh, what's the matter? You can tell me. You can trust me.
He kind of takes a long time to turn in his seat with a lot of effort and probably no small amount of pain from the grunts and the groans. And he pulls back his canvas tarp in the back of his cart. And you see a gorgeous bushel of purple flowers. My friend is dead. Has been for many years. But I am going to pay my respects as I do as often as I can. And he kind of covers them back up.
Well, that's very heartwarming. Where are you coming from? What lies beyond that way? And kind of pointing to the way he came.
Behind me, you travel through the lands of the kesir. They are animal people. They're kind and gentle for the most part. I live beyond their part of the forest in a cabin that I built myself many years ago.
Scratch will kind of lean over to Twagger and he'll whisper, "People do."
Speak for yourself. So you're taking a bunch of flowers to your friend's grave.
Yes.
That's something.
There are places you could travel beyond that way if you'd like to travel with me for a time. Or if you go the other direction, you could find places that way too. There are other roads that lead from the yellow bricked path, but I recommend that you stay on it as long as you can.
Mm-hmm.
And why is that, good sir? Why are we to stay on the yellow brick path?
There's a lot of danger lately. There's a coming war. You are not from around here, are you?
Quick, this one. Very quick.
His eyes
I don't
get very
think so, but
wide.
I'm getting a lot of deja vu from this area.
His eyes have grown very wide. You are outsiders. You have come from another world. Yes?
Before we answer that question, if we were to say yes, is that a problem? And if we were to say no, is that a problem? Just asking for a friend.
I did not believe the stories. I did not believe that they were true. But here you are. You are real outsiders. It is not wise to let this information spread very far, if you understand my meaning.
Then you should quit saying it over and over again.
Oh, forgive me. You are correct. Yes, of course.
See, he gets it. I'm correct.
The crow on his shoulder kind of leans in your face and caw!
You should be used to that.
I think it likes you.
Everyone has an opinion.
What is your name, old friend?
I am called Marius. It's a Suvarak. He kind of points to his crow. He's been with me for some time. He has a little bit of a temper, I'm afraid.
Yeah, most birds do. He kind of sidelong glances over at Twanger.
Twanger just looks at you and does like this.
Well, I am Severine, and this is Dempsey. And this angry bird is Twanger, as you figured out. And the cat.
Hi, I'm Scratch.
Yeah, he's Scratch.
And I'm Brutus. Glad to meet you. It's been a pleasure being in your company, sir.
And the lady
And
Amalia.
I am Amalia, the world's greatest, most acclaimed fortune teller. At your service.
That fey powder is very potent, is it not? He kind of laughs. It wears off after a time. Well, I really should be going. If you would like to come with me, I would be glad for the company. But if not, I bid you well.
I could use a ride in a cart.
I mean, I've already collected one old person. What's a second one?
It'd be
Right?
good to have company, new company in this journey. What say you all?
The more the merrier.
I agree. I think this would be quite lovely. And I could even do a reading for you if you'd like.
Oh, no, I can read. Thank you, though. It's a kind gesture on your part, young lady. So with the decision to go with Marius and his crow, Suvrak, you begin traveling in a western direction down this yellowed road, making idle chit-chat, and traveling on for some time. Eventually, the forest around you starts to grow dark, and it becomes clear that you're going to have to stop and camp for the night. He has not seemed to notice, as he is still kind of chatting with whoever it is that will speak with him.
Yeah, and I would imagine Severine is open for discussion periodically. Taking in the sights and napping periodically, kind of falling over on someone next to him as he sort of dozes, whether it be Amalia or Scratch or Twanger or Brutus.
Suddenly, kind of in the middle of a sentence, he kind of stops and, almost panicked, kind of looks around him. Oh dear. Have I gone too far? Is this the Black Forest?
Are you asking us?
Are the trees black?
No.
It doesn't seem black.
After just a moment, he kind of, oh, no. I see. The sun has gone down. Yes? Okay. Forgive me. I thought we were somewhere else for a moment. But we are not going that far. It must be time to camp. Yes?
Yeah, I could use a nap.
Without any objections, if there are none, he pulls the wagon over and starts to get camp set up as best he can. It's a slow process, like everything Marius does. But it seems like it's something he's done time and time again. And soon, you have a fire roaring in the middle of your camp. Those of you who have bedrolls have them laid out in whatever arrangement you see fit. And he has kind of lowered himself down in the back of his wagon with a bedroll. But he's not going to sleep just quite yet, if there is anything else that anybody seems to want to talk about. As I said, he seems glad for the company.
Scratch is going to pull out that pendant once again, and he's going to pull a rag from his bag as well, and he's just going to start rubbing whatever dirt or grime has gotten on it off of it with that, and using his claws to pick out whatever's stuck within the little marks in between the stuff.
Molly is going to get to work trying to tie herself to a tree branch. So that she stays in one place.
I would recommend a very low tree branch so that when it wears off, you're not rudely awoken by a sudden.
Ah, yes. Very good advice. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I would hate for you to die when I wasn't awake to watch it. I mean,
Yes,
no, that's what I meant.
Twinger's going to settle in sort of like in the driver's seat of this cart. The front of it there with his back up against it. And I'll, for probably the first time, play a tune that's not just miserable plucking at this little violin. So you see him, he actually takes out this, a bow for a violin, which is not super common, I wouldn't imagine. And tucks the little lute underneath his chin, and he begins to play a song that it's no matter who hears it, it's very reminiscent of childhood, right? There's an element of sort of being swaddled and held. There's mentions of very uncharacteristic things for Twinger, right? Like family and sharing and things like that. And it's for intents and purposes, it's a bardic song of rest. I don't think anyone needs the actual hit points from it, but I've always assumed that with healing energy comes that sort of soothing feeling, and perhaps that would be something good for people, and he doesn't have to admit to helping anyone.
Brutus is being when he kind of rolls out his bedroll and stuff, he's very meticulous about it. He, anytime there's a little anytime there's a little a crease or a fold, he like immediately pat it out and straighten it out, which would cause, kind of a crease to appear somewhere else, and he kind of goes over and pulls that one out and flattens it out, and he rearranges a few branches underneath, the blanket, because it's a little bit too high raised up or something, and he's shifting a lantern left, right. Oh no, a little too far to the left on the ground, and it's just making a perfect kind of little bedding for himself until he tucks himself into sleep for the night.
Yeah, I would imagine Severine has laid out his bedroll in the flattest spot that he can find and cleared out the rocks. And as Twanger begins to play this song, he actually begins to sort of wistfully sort of dance, like, like as if he's dancing with a lady. And for a moment you can actually see that his eyes are kind of misty-eyed, like he's brought back to a time when he may have been young and a little more agile than he is now. And when the song ends, he comes over and he kind of pats Twanger on the shoulder and he says, "You're a good bird, regardless of what everybody says."
You're old, and that's what everybody says. Hey, I saw the way you were dancing, and I was just wondering, could you never do that again? Because it hurt. And not like in you're a bad dancer sort of way, but you looked really sad. And I didn't do it. And that takes all the fun out of it. So yeah,
And he'll reach over, he'll pat you on the arm.
just only be sad when I'm doing it. Okay?
Whatever you say, old friend. And his eyes are kind of misty-eyed. Elbereth thinks you too. And he kind of dodders over to his bedroll and lays down and gives Dempsey some bread. And
Bread's bad for birds!
oh yes, and here's some chicken. He gives him some chicken, and now keep an eye out for us if you would. Good night, Amalia.
You guys all notice that Amalia has slowly begun to descend towards the ground and kind of settle into an awkward sleeping position.
When Scratch is done polishing his amulet, he'll put it back in his bag and then he'll wrap around Amalia just so that she doesn't get cold.
She's gonna get fleas. Or you're gonna get fleas.
The correct answer is yes.
Should we rotate watch?
Yes, we should rotate watch.
Rotate watch.
I'll take first watch. You guys go to sleep and try and die or something.
And with that, he'll set himself a little more upright, and after realizing that maybe his back to a wagon where he can't see behind him is not the best position for watch, he'll move out to maybe a rock by the fire and sit there with his little feet outstretched towards it, lamenting over his lot in life and how he got hooked up with this carriage of misfits. But he'll actively take a watch.
And as you kind of settle in for the watch, and the rest of the camp grows still and quiet as your companions drift off to sleep, the sounds of the forest kind of rise up to fill the void, and you notice the calls of the owls and the sounds of the crickets. And it's actually kind of peaceful. It's a little tranquil. It's a little bit cold, but you're sitting close to a fire, so it's enough to warm you. And suddenly, there's a scream. Kind of tears open the night. And you realize that it's coming from the old man sleeping in the wagon.
I lurch to my feet, again holding the little violin like a baseball bat, and I look to see if the scream woke anybody else. If so, it can be their problem. But if not, I'll go club it. I mean, see what's going on.
Did anybody else wake up?
Great.
Imagine Brutus would actually.
Yes.
Amalea and Severin are having a snoring contest right now.
Exactly.
You guys know how a cat wakes up when it's surprised?
Yeah, you're 15 feet in the air right this second.
It's kind of like when they see a pickle or actually a cucumber, and they jump like, ah, like what the hell is that thing?
Yes, that is what happens.
All right, so you're up in a tree somewhere.
Yes, but it's okay. I can climb.
All right. Well, I'll catch eyes with the. Hey, so as a point of fact, when you go to sleep, do you maintain your human visage, or do you turn back into lizard man?
Yeah. So it kind of like wears off after an hour. He has to like reapply it every so often.
Sure.
So like he go to sleep as a person, and then like it would just fade after some amount of time, and he just would wake up as a lizard person.
So when you do wake up, I'll catch your eyes real quick, and I'll nod towards the cart of the old man, and then I'll do one of these things, like, my eyes, your eyes, and then I'll go with my tongue like flicking out like a little snake, and then I'll start creeping over towards the cart.
I just have this like look of confusion on my face, but I'm like half awake, kind of hearing that sound, and I would, to the best of my ability, kind of creep out of the bedroll, and kind of approaching the sound of the disturbance somewhat cautiously, to the best of my ability.
The two of you kind of stealthily approach from two different directions, and you find the wagon, the cart, kind of shifting back and forth, kind of bumping around in place. And as you creep closer, you manage to get a look inside, and you find that it's just Marius, thrashing around in his sleep. No, I'm sorry, my friend. I'm sorry, there was nothing I could do. Forgive me, please. No. I'm sorry. No, please. Forgive me. And he grows quiet and still.
When he goes still, is it like still as in back to sleep, or as in still as in His chest is not rising and falling as if you're breathing. Like, is he dead?
It's kind of one of those situations where you stare at him and you're not sure. So you stare for longer, and then he takes a sharp inhale. He rolls over, continues to sleep.
We're this close.
Brutus kind of like gives almost an audible exhale. He was like holding in his breath this whole time out of just the tension of the moment. Just sigh of relief. Kind of like looks up to Twanger in this kind of moonlight nighttime scene. And he would make like a combination of gestures and hand gestures that probably make no sense, but he'd be like, flipping his hand and making like a snoozing kind of motion, and then it makes no sense, but he's flapping around with his hands and doing stuff, and he's mouthing words, and then he gives a thumbs up afterwards and an inquisitive look.
You want to make popcorn and cuddle? No. Okay, your turn for watch. Good night.
And then he just like has like this what look on his face, but he kind of sees you kind of waddle off to go sleep, and he just like resigns to his fate and sits by the fire for his watch.
And the rest of the night passes uneventfully. You're able to exchange watch, etc., and you don't ever hear anything else from the old man or anything else in the forest other than the animals and insects. So you wake the next morning and are very quickly able to pack up camp. And before long, you're able to get back on the road again. He seems very quiet this morning. He doesn't seem to want to talk the way he did yesterday. Very contemplative and sullen.
Yeah, Brutus has a very close eye on this man, on Marius, ever since witnessing his night terror the past night. Kind of just observing his mannerisms, making sure he's okay. And when the opportunity presents itself, he would maybe like scuttle a little bit closer and kind of look at him, with a look of empathy and interest. And he'd ask, my sir, are you all right? You look ill. Are you feeling well?
Oh, forgive me. It is my old age sometimes prevents me from sleeping very well at night. I did not sleep very well last night.
Oh, that's sad to hear. Was there anything bothering you? Anything on your mind? I mean, I know, that some things are best kept bottled up inside, but some things are good to share. It helps make you deal better with your problems and your insecurities and your doubts and regrets. And I'm here. I'm here for you, sir.
You have spent a considerable amount of time thinking about this, I suppose.
You can give me a persuasion roll if you would like, Connor.
Oh, my first die roll of this entire series. 12.
He kind of looks at you a little and then kind of looks back ahead down the road. And then after a moment, without turning his face back in your direction, he speaks.
It was I who buried my friend all those years ago. I put his body in the ground. And I put dirt upon him
Well, at least you know now that he rests easy. Does he not?
I do not know. He met a very violent end.
Oh, that's really troubling to hear. If you don't mind me asking, what? I mean, if it's not too prying, how he kind of like doesn't know how to actually finish this sentence.
What caused him to kick the bucket?
How did he pass?
His skull had been broken open, and its contents had been removed.
Oh
Not by
my!
me. Not by me, mind you. It was not me. I was given the body in a barrel, and I was told to take it into the Black Forest and push it off the road. I could not. Once I discovered what was inside the barrel, I brought him to a better place. At least, I hope that it was far enough from the Black Forest.
He grows quiet again.
Someone delivered your friend to you in a barrel?
He was not yet my friend. I say he is my friend. But the truth of the matter is that we never met while he was alive. He was a stranger to me when I found him in the barrel.
Yeah, Brutus just gives everyone else, but the old man, kind of like this look of like, oh.
So you became friends with a guy in a barrel. Well, most of a guy in a barrel.
No, I use the term friend, I suppose, as a way to deal with what was done to him. I feel poorly for him, even though I never met him.
Oh, no, I see. You didn't have any friends in real life, so when this body showed up and you had to bury it, you had some inwardly focused, pent-up compassion you hadn't been able to express before, and therefore it was focused on this thing that now needed your care, and you didn't want to dump it in the Black Forest because that sounds terrible. So you took it someplace much nicer, you dug a nice hole, you dumped it in there, you buried him, and now every once in a while you go back to throw a whole bunch of dead flowers on it so you feel better about yourself. That makes sense.
You're astute for a bird.
You're old for a man.
That's very true.
Yeah, it's part of my astuteness. But
Maybe-
laughing, you're old too.
Maybe not quite as old as some.
And he kind of nods his chin towards Severin.
I also look at Severin.
Yes.
Mhm.
You see, Suvrak came to me. I think it was sent by my friend. As a thank you. To protect me from danger. Sometimes when I sleep, my friend visits me in my dreams. They are not kindly dreams. And I worry that perhaps I did the wrong thing.
So, why would there be a distinct difference, like a right thing, wrong thing, between burying him where you buried him and dumping his ass in the Black Forest?
The Black Forest is full of all kinds of unnatural things. Things that are dead but do not stay that way. Things that are twisted by dark magics. Evil place it is.
Uh-huh.
Like the people that live there. The Obsidian King and his queens. His witch is what he should call her. It is an evil place, the Black Keep. And it sits amid a dark black land, aptly named the Black Forest. I will never go there again. Never.
And you were supposed to dump your friend's body there so that it could, what, pop back out of the barrel like one of those jack-in-the-boxes?
Perhaps. I do not understand the motivations of the man who made me do it.
And that man would be?
The Obsidian King.
Well, okay. So you live back on the other side of the shape-shifting goat people. And the Obsidian King came to your house one day with a barrel with 9/10 of a person inside of it. And he told you to take the barrel and the body back to where he came from and float.
No.
Okay.
I was a traveling merchant for a time in my youth.
Mm-hmm.
I sought trade, foolishly, with the Black Keep and the Obsidian King.
Mm-hmm.
I left empty-handed. Well,
obviously not.
Mostly empty-handed.
Empty-headed, maybe.
Perhaps.
No, that was his friend.
That's not nice. All right, so you didn't dump him in the Black Forest. You took him somewhere nicer, and you laid him to rest. And whenever you can get up this way, you visit him and put flowers there. And that's where you're going to today. Yes, tomorrow, whenever you get there.
Yes. That is
okay.
Exactly.
And in the intervening time, this person that you've never met before, that you didn't turn into a zombie, now haunts you in your dreams unpleasantly. And that has driven you to wonder if you should have just dumped his ass in the bog.
Yes. It is something that I wrestle with for a long time now. Or if I should have taken his body further, perhaps to the White Queen. She is known for her curative magics. Perhaps there is something she could have done for him.
I don't think there's much curing having the inside of your head scooped out.
I do not begin to understand magic. It has done things that I would not thought possible.
This queen can restore life?
The White Queen. Yes. Yes, I have heard stories that she can. But not in the same way that the Obsidian King and his witch can. They bring unlife to something. It is not living, nor is it dead. I've heard the White Queen can bring true life back to things.
Then maybe we should bring him to the White Queen.
You don't think it is too late?
It depends on the magic of her power.
Or the power of her magic.
He's
Or
got
the
a
power
point.
that.
What's bouncing around in that brain of yours, Twinger?
I don't know. So there's some sort of zombie wizard that lives in a black forest called the Black King with his witch. And then there's some healing lady, priest or something. And we're kind of like in the middle with, trying to not be here anymore. And the best suggestion we have so far is to go dig up parts of a person and take him to this lady so that the old man here doesn't have bad dreams anymore. And it sucks that that's the best suggestion that we have. We should have stayed on the boat with the rabbit.
You saw just as well as I did the terror and fits this man experiences. Surely that does not twang upon your heartstrings, Twanger. My jokes are funny. But seriously, not in jest. Does this man's suffering not motivate you?
To not want to be here.
Well, you can stand idly by while a fellow man suffers so?
I do not ask for you to share my burden.
Yeah, he's not asking.
What
Well,
is
I'm
it?
asking. I think. Maybe I'm telling. No, I'm asking. I'm asking.
I don't care if you're asking or telling. Just make up your damn mind. Fine. What about you, Scratch? Do you want to go dig up most of a dead body?
Scratch will look at Marius.
Not that dead body. The one that's actually in the ground.
Are those different dead bodies?
Oh boy. So that's a yes. And how about you, old orator of the spirits?
I had a thought.
That's a first.
What if I wonder if the White Queen could help a friend who had the fits. And turned into that horrible thing. Because then we'd be doing two good deeds,
Our
and
fluffy
good
friend's
deeds is
cousin.
always favored by the spirits.
But I mean, we're a bunch of commoners. Or at least we should be according to ourselves now. But why would she see us? I think Scratch kind of looks down.
Of course she would see me. I am the great Amalia Vandercroft.
Well, as famous as you're not where we come from, we're not there anymore. But perhaps on that merit alone, she would see us, right? I mean, the old guy did say something about there being stories about us, or outsiders, not us. That would be weird.
Yes.
But yeah, see?
Yes, outsiders. If you announced yourself as outsiders to the White Queen, she would certainly want to speak with you.
I think we have a new plan A. Is everyone okay with this plan A?
Is your plan A the same as my plan A?
Is your plan A to go to the White Queen and announce that we're outsiders?
My plan A was to go to the White Queen and humbly request her assistance in in our matters. But
Cool,
I
we're on the same
guess
page.
I guess we are.
Marius looks a little sad.
We can
And
still go visit your friend.
You will press on with me before you go to see Her Majesty.
I mean, I will at least. I can catch up to these guys.
Very well. Very well.
And he kind of nods approvingly. And he kind of slaps the reins very lazily on this swayback horse. And she starts clopping down the road again. Is the intent, in fact, for everybody to go with Marius?
Yeah, Severin puts his hand around Twanger's beak. Yes, everyone's intent is to help Marius. I'm kidding. Steve can respond for Twanger. We are helping our fellow man.
Absolutely.
I will take what Twanger says as a yes, and I agree with him.
That's the first smart thing you've ever said. Okay, let's get on with the grave robbing. Borrowing.
So either enthusiastically or begrudgingly, you move westward down this yellow paved road. And eventually you come around a bend that kind of slowly turns somewhat northward. And you see a strange sight. The first thing you notice is purple flowers, similar to the ones that Marius is carrying, but these are blooming out of the ground on both sides of the road. You are out of the forest at this point and see field kind of extending off in both directions with fencing that lines the edge of the road. And a little ways up the road, you see a group of some kind of creatures kind of leaping and jumping around, flailing about as they are hitting something or pulling on something. They're kind of almost mobbed up together. Marius kind of strains his eyes in their direction. And he's,
Oh no. No. That's not good.
he kind of pulls up on the reins. Comes to a stop.
What is it? What's wrong?
Where do they come from? They are unnatural creatures. They serve her, the witch of the west.
But what are they?
They are called Gulazu.
Oh my.
They are hideous, evil creatures, vile things.
And you see, they look like this. And they're about the size of a small young adult, a teenager. Though they never really stand up all the way. They kind of stay crouched like this as they scratch and hop about, making a horrible, horrible noise. And there's a number of them.
Do we have a clear view of what they're attacking?
If you move about a little, you can see what looks like a pair of pants sticking out of the the huddle, perhaps a pair of legs. And you think you see a hand kind of reaching up and swatting at some of them, almost in a defensive way.
Scratch will pull out his short sword and one of his daggers. He'll look at Marius and let's say, "Don't worry, we'll get you to your friend's grave." And he will hop off of the wagon and rush towards them.
And that was the last we ever saw of the cat.
Jeez, those things were terrifying. And hideous, huh?
So Twanger will actually stand up, reach into the cart where he's had his little pack, and he produces from it a little short bow.
Stupid cat.
And he'll knock an arrow and pull it back.
Brutus is going to continue to sit and watching the scene in awe and in disgust, alongside with the carriage driver. Imagine they were sitting side by side.
Are you all out running towards them?
Yes.
Awesome.
Full tilt running. I'm using my feline agility. I'm using my cunning action bonus move.
All right,
Whatever stuff I can do to go fast.
So if everyone would please, let's go ahead and roll up initiative. This is also where we're going to take our break.
Yay!
So let's get initiative rolled up. I'll get that all sorted whenever I come back from using the bathroom. Refill up your drinks, kiss your spouses, smoke them if you got them, and we will be right back in about 10 minutes.
Smoke your spouses.
That too.
Yeah, just put your initiatives in the chat if you got them. I'll sort it out.
Steve, we got to sort this now.
Yeah. What's your dex?
16.
Same. You go first. You took off running.
Cool.
Yeah, there we go.
Sorted.
I have returned. Hello, everybody out there. Thank you for tuning in. Whether you're watching live tonight or you're tuning in later on, thank you very, very much. Thank you once again to my fine, fantastic, and ridiculously funny players. I'm going back and forth between busting a stitch and getting all the feels, so it's kind of a roller coaster. We will get started here in just a minute once we have everybody back. Hopefully everybody's Wednesday is going well. If not, hopefully your Thursday goes better.
First day of college so far that has gone off without a hitch.
Oh, yeah? Just for the semester, you mean?
For the semester, yeah. Monday, I was vomiting.
I heard you post that, man. That was awful.
And Tuesday, I slept through my alarm.
Yeah. Well, if you were throwing up all day Monday, I don't think it's unreasonable to sleep in a little.
That's completely unreasonable. You should be attending your classes 100% of the time, come rain or shine, come sickness or good health. I don't care if, your body's exploding. You better go to class.
Yeah, till death do you part or something.
Till your
Yeah,
body
whatever.
parts itself from exploding from
Whatever.
explosive diarrhea or something. I don't know.
If you
And
die,
all-
you show up to my class in a box.
There we go. And you're still taking notes.
That would be kind of scary. You walk into class with explosive diarrhea. Projectile! I have a 20-foot radius.
Wow.
Make an extra saving throw.
This quickly.
Sneak attack. Roll initiative.
Oh, God.
That's just awful.
That's terrible.
Yeah, literally, it is awful.
It's terrible.
It's awful.
Okay, so it sounds like everybody's back. I haven't heard from Megan yet, but I'm thinking that she's probably there.
Hello.
Yep.
I'm
Hey, cool. Okay, so it looks like we have the initiative all worked out.
Minus the baddies.
Yeah, they ended up with a 10. So if you just want to throw them in there wherever.
Absolutely.
makes
They're actually
sense.
right at the bottom.
Cool. That works. All right. So you see these beautiful, misunderstood, cuddly and cute little critters that are jumping up and down, making all kinds of whooping noises, and are rending something in the road apart. You think that there's probably 6 of them, and as you begin to rush forward, you realize that you miscounted. There are, in fact, 8. But the reason that you miscounted was because 2 of them are in the air, circling above you, quite some distance away. Okay. Scratch, you're up first.
Looking at the ones in the sky, he's going to mutter to himself, I can't reach that no matter how hard I try. And he's going to... Can I reach where all of the things are mauling this, whatever it is?
What is your top movement speed? I would imagine it's probably fast enough with everything you've got.
With feline agility, regular move is 60. With the bonus action move, it'd be 120.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely so. And then some.
Coolio.
So what does that look like as you supernaturally fast close the distance between you and the back of this little gaggle?
Short sword is going to plunge into the one that seems to be the most on top of him. hopefully.
All right, go ahead and roll it up.
That's a crit.
Excellent. The way I handle criticals is you roll your damage out, add all the modifiers, and then you double it.
Cool. And I'm not even going to ask. Of course, there are other things within 5 feet of it. It's on top of something.
Yes. Yeah, they are all kind of very close together.
That would be 8 damage as the short sword goes into this small little sort of monkey.
All right. So you drive your blade into this creature, and it wails, almost like a mix between a child and a dog, almost like this howling wail at the pain that you've just inflicted to it.
And you said I had extra movement I could use if I wanted?
Yeah, I would say you probably have another 10, 15 feet you could go.
I'm going to move back 10 feet. And because of the swashbuckler feature, fancy footwork, whatever things I make an attack against don't get opportunity attacks.
Excellent. So yeah, the one that you stabbed was definitely kind of caught off guard, not realizing that you were even going to come from nowhere, seemingly. However, there are 2 on either side of you that are fairly close as well, and they will reach out at you and attempt to scratch at you with these long talon-like hands. Assuming that an 18 would probably hit.
14 or better is what you need.
Okay. So, yes. You're going to take 3 points of damage. And you need to make a strength saving throw.
Actually, Severine leans forward and he says, "That was not foretold. And meta-wise, that should have been a 3.
Like on
So
the attack roll?
Yeah, so I'm using my portent to reduce his attack roll to a 3.
Oh, excellent. Very nice. Okay. So as he swipes at this, at the parting cat, what does it look like as your portent kind of redirects fate, Severine?
So I would imagine that as he goes to swipe, he actually stops for a moment, which gives the tabaxi that moment of where they lock eyes, and the cat just turns sideways as the slash would have actually connected, but did not.
And you are able to back away from them, Scratch, without any further issue. Twanger, it's your turn.
So, seeing the insane cat go terracing up the road and attack one of these monsters, as I said, Twanger pulls the bow out, and as he knocks the arrow, you see he runs the feathers of one of the arrows through his beak and wets it. They have a strange familiarity, these black feathers, as he fluffs his wings a little bit, draw back, and fires at the one that attacked at the tabaxi. It'll be a 16 to hit.
That will make contact.
So the arrow whistles a bit, probably a little off key, knowing Twanger, and buries itself for 9 points of damage into the side, just below the ribs of this snarling beast as it swung and hesitated and then missed. It left that opening, and you can see the arrows up inside, and the ichor of this beast began to sort of leak out around it.
Yeah, it kind of tumbles down the person that it's been standing atop, kind of onto the ground. Though it is still alive, it makes the same howling pain, so you know that it is not quite dead. Amalia.
So seeing Scratch kind of run up towards these things, she's gonna cry, "Scratch, watch out!" And she's going to cast Grease, centered on the point where there is the most of them on the ground.
And as you do so, this kind of bubbling, thick liquid kind of seems to seep up from between the yellow bricks that make up this road, and very soon kind of cover the area with a slick surface.
Yeah. And every one of them who is in this area needs to make a dex save or fall prone.
What's the area?
10 feet. 10 foot square.
That's far enough. I'm good.
Okay, I'm going to say that you got 3 of them with this.
Okay. That's a spell save of 12. Yeah, 12.
Okay. Dexterity. Okay, one of them made it. The other 2 failed and began tripping all over themselves and sliding around everywhere.
Yeah. So, yeah, that just becomes also difficult terrain as well.
Okay. And we are on to Brutus.
Yeah, Brutus is still sitting in the wagon next to this driver, Marius. He's just looking at just wide-eyed at how efficiently his companions are just doing their stuff, and he's a little nervous because he doesn't really know what tools he has at his disposal. And he's gonna he's still in the chair. And he's be like, "Yeah, you get that one and watch out for him. And you, oh God, you're ugly." And at that, as soon as he said, "Oh God, you're ugly," one of these little gremlin creatures, they would pause, and have to make a wisdom saving throw of DC 13.
They failed horribly.
All right. So they are subject to the effect of vicious mockery, where they take 7 points of psychic damage. And
was this one of the ones that was damaged already, or a fresh one?
Probably a fresh one. And they have disadvantage on the next attack.
Excellent.
And that's my turn.
Okay. And Severine.
And Severine is already leaning forward and considering the battle that's unfolding before him, and he says, "Scaly, bat-like, spin like a web. It is time to sleep." As he go into a slumber, and he casts sleep for 23 hit points.
And it starts with the ones that have the fewest remaining first. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
As many as it can take.
The first 3 drop asleep. The ones that were damaged immediately kind of drop to the ground, snoring, making a even worse of a noise than they have been. But the others, the remaining 3 that are still kind of surrounding this body, and the two that are airborne look like they're about to start trying to return the favor. The two that go ahead.
Is the body that's still on the ground moving?
Very slowly. Everybody, if you would like to, can make perception rolls for that.
So I got a total of a 20.
I got a whopping 12.
Okay. Anyone else, or just those three?
Toss mine in the chat.
Okay. So, Severin, you notice that though it looks like a humanoid body wearing clothing, and it is kind of moving about a little, you think that there's an awful lot of like straw and hay strung about, and you don't see any blood other than what has been spilled since your arrival.
A curiosity kind of creases his brow, and I did roll for like whether I would do it or not. And I gave myself high enough that I would actually do it. I missed. Is it within 30 feet of me?
You probably would have to travel onward closer to it before 30 feet away would be applicable, but you could make it there.
Okay, so I'm going to do that, and then Misty step to the body and just grab it, like hug it, protecting the body.
Okay. You do so. You kind of appear, apparate, whatever you want to call it, kind of on this form on the ground, and you can feel that it's a scarecrow. It's a set of clothes that is stuffed with hay and sticks that look like it kind of forms a frame. But at the same time, there's something about it that's a little odd. It's kind of hard to describe in the moment. But these things, these Rulazu, seem momentarily puzzled at your arrival. But then they immediately begin using their talons to try to tear into you, as well as their needle-like teeth. What is your armor class, Severin?
14.
Okay. You got hit with a single claw and a single bite. The bite is going to deal piercing damage to the tune of 4 points. The claw deals 3 points of damage. And the claw it's found purchase in you. It's not releasing you. It has grabbed a hold. You're not what you would be considered grappled, I suppose. You're just not restrained. The two that are flying... Go ahead. Sorry.
You said the claw is worse than the bite?
No, the bite, I think, was 4 points. The claw did 3, but...
It's really the bark you have to watch out for.
Yeah, it's true. But the claw is stuck in you.
Like a grapple. Okay.
Yes. And the two that are flying overhead kind of circle down lower, and one of them kind of makes a passing swoop. And who else was on their way but was still on the road? Who hadn't quite gotten there yet? Brutus
I don't think anyone else left the wagon.
left
Yeah,
the
I'm
wagon.
still in the wagon.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think anyone else did.
Well, in that case, it flies over towards the wagon. And it's going to get all of you who are still with the wagon. I need each of you, please, to make a dexterity saving throw. As this thing opens its mouth and spews forth a cloud of conical acid down upon you and the wagon. Okay. Amalia, where are you currently?
I am right by the wagon.
Okay. If you would... Oh, you did make a save. I'm sorry. I see 2 dice on ice there.
Yeah, sorry, I got the 22.
Excellent. Okay. Cool. All right. So all 3 of you managed to take enough cover to avoid the worst of it. However, there is still enough of the acid that it somewhat gets around your cover, dealing you a little bit of damage to the tune of 2 points. Just enough to kind of burn the surface of your skin where it may be exposed. The other, flying ahead, has continued to circle, though he has lowered. And he seemingly reaches up onto a crude belt that it kind of wears and drops something directly at the tabaxi. What is your armor class again? Scratch?
14.
Okay, 17 on the die will hit. So this small glass vial falls from the sky and smashes somewhere directly on your shoulders or your head. The glass cuts you a little, but it's mostly just surface wound. But there's this thick, viscous material of some kind. It has a very strong smell that is kind of spread about your body. So we now go back to the top of the initiative round with Scratch.
As this vial is dropped on him and this smelly liquid is just coating him, he's gonna probably grab a glob that's nowhere near all of it and flick it like, ugh, disgusting. Then he's going to go into the fray and help out our friend Severin with his little flying monkey problem. He's going to stab at the were the bite and the claw from the same one?
No, they were not.
Okay. He's going to try and take a stab at the one with the claw in him. And that'd be a nat 1. So the universe is brought back into balance.
Okay, so do me a favor and re-roll that d20. Just tell me what the naked result of it is.
Okay. That would be a 6.
Okay, go ahead and roll your damage up for me, please.
Five.
Connor, would you please describe to me what exactly happens when you stab Severin and deal 5 points of damage to him?
As Scratch is running up, he gets some of the goo in his eye, and the swings out of the way, curling. itself with the claw as I just stab my short sword into Severus's stomach. And then I'm going to immediately pull it out, shocked. I'm going to be like, I'm so sorry. It won't happen again. And then I'm going to use a bonus action to do an offhand attack with a dagger. Hoping to God not to hit Severin.
Well, that's unfortunate.
This one is much better. 16.
The 16 does hit.
Cool. And because it's an offhand attack, it's just a d4. 3 piercing damage into this small, little, annoying piece of crap. That made me stab my friend.
And I believe this one was fresh also. As the
Yes,
ones that are not
probably.
fresh are currently asleep. So, after you've stabbed your friend, you manage to make contact with another one of these little nasty creatures. And that brings us to Amalia's turn.
So as this thing kind of did like an overhead swoop with its gross acid and a little bit got onto Amalia's skin, she's going to try to wipe it off. Time she goes to kind of, with every hand gesture, there seems to be double of her, then triple, then 4. And then she just kind of looks around, wary of where this thing is going to come, flying thing is going to come next. And she cast Mirror Image.
Excellent. So, as Amalia kind of duplicates, it is Brutus. You're up.
Say that this overhead flying breath bomber would be approximately 10 feet away overhead.
It would have been at some point, yes.
Cool. I imagine as it swoops down, Brutus would like cover his head and face with his arms, like, please don't hurt me. And by yelling that out, I would like that particular little gremlin thingy to make a wisdom save against DC 13.
He resisted with a 17.
Alrighty. Then no effect. Cool. And he's just kind of cowering. And he's gonna maybe even like looking back in the back of the wagon. Are there like loose? So he says there's a big tarp with a bunch of with a bunch of flowers under it, right?
Yes, among other things.
He would essentially like to clamber over into the back of the wagon and use whatever is available as like cover or a shield or whatever, some kind of covering to protect himself in the future from this nasty airborne creature.
Okay, so you're kind of just ducking underneath the heavy canvas tarp, more or less.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure, yeah, you kind of... the wagon is not overly full because he's been sleeping in the back of it. So there's definitely enough room for people to get in there underneath the canvas tarp. So
yes,
you protect yourself, kind of duck away. And we're back to Severin.
And Severin so he picked up the scarecrow and this person is still whole, right?
For the most part, yes. If you would like, you can make a medicine roll.
Okay. That would be a total of 15.
Okay, excellent. So you notice that a lot of this straw has been pulled out of what would be his torso and abdomen area. The shirt is kind of broken in the front. His tunic is torn. And there's a lot of the straw missing. You can kind of see the wood that forms the structure of this scarecrow inside. But some of the portions of the sticks, like the twigs and stuff, looks like it has almost taken on the shape of bones. Like you think a couple of the twigs almost mimic rib cages, like a rib cage, and some of the straw looks like it has fused together somewhat. Some of it even kind of starting to attach itself to the stick in places, almost resembling internal organs and muscle tissue.
Okay, so Severine, his eyebrows sort of twitching, casts some tea leaves off from a pouch that he has, and he says, duplication 1, 2, 3, and 4. The number of me. As you see him multiply as he's surrounding this creature, as mirror image takes place, and is holding this creature, and he kind of looks down at him and says, how can I help you? And that's the end of my turn.
This creature's kind of burlap face is a little unsettling. But there's a kindness to the eyes that you can barely see beneath the burlap. Calling it a mask wouldn't be quite appropriate. He says,
Please, get them away from me. They're hurting me, and they're scaring me quite a bit. Please.
Well, we're working on that. How can I help you physically?
Oh, I seem to have made a mess. Forgive me.
He starts reaching and stuffing some of the straw that he can grab kind of back into his open shirt.
And then as my action ends, then I just begin helping him do that.
And as Severin kind of busies himself trying to help this rather pathetic creature, these other monstrous beings press their own attack. But first, if all of you would please make me another round of perception checks. Hey, I'm going to say that Severin is probably at disadvantage for this one. Okay, everyone except for Brutus, you all notice that the one that had dropped the vial last round is not approaching anymore. He has returned to a higher elevation, and his eyes have kind of taken on that kind of gold reflective iridescence that certain beasts get when a light hits it at the right angle in the night. And it's head just kind of slowly turns, almost as if it's just kind of observing everything. The liquid that it dropped. Oh, I'm sorry. Before we get to that, I skipped someone. Skipped Steve. Steve.
That's fine. So after having our old man poof into the middle of them, I would then turn my attention to the one closest to him, the one striking at him, and I will let loose another arrow and attempt to hopefully hit it and not him. So it'd be a 16 again and another 9 points of damage. So as you know, almost as he's talking to this scarecrow, and the scarecrow asks for help getting them away, you see this arrow come flying through and just hits one of these things, knocking it off kilter, perhaps even knocking it a few inches away from the scarecrow. As Severine says, "We're working on that." You know, he says.
And I imagine that it was probably the one that had a little bit of damage on it already and was not yet asleep. And this arrow actually will kill it, sending it tumbling off of the old man's back just before it kind of sunk its teeth into him. Okay. 3 of them continue to slumber. One of them is dead, leaving only 4. 2 on the ground and 2 airborne. The 2 on the ground are going to attempt to continue to tear. One of them is going to continue to tear at the old man. The other is going to turn his attention towards Scratch. Oh, Scratch, I forgot. Before that happens, you burst into fire.
Slipped my mind.
You're going to take 5 points of fire damage as this sticky, strong-smelling chemical bursts into flames.
Help, they invented self-igniting napalm.
You would probably recognize this as alchemist fire.
This is not great for Scratch.
The other 2, one of them on the ground after the old man, the other after the tabaxi. The old man, how does mirror image work again?
So go ahead and roll a d20.
Mm-hmm. He got a 16 on the attack.
Okay, so he takes out one of my illusory images.
Okay.
The next roll will be easier to hit me. He has to hit 5 or below to hit me. So he strikes one of the illusory images, and the image just kind of winks out as it winks at him.
Okay. And it kind of looks confused at his empty talon-like hand. And the one that was... I guess this was probably the one that was still holding on to you. And
I think... Did the tabaxi hit him and break the hold, or no?
Oh, that's what it was, yes. Okay, yeah,
I hit
so
him,
he was
and
no
then
longer...
he was shot.
Yep. So yeah, he was no longer holding on to you. So this was a separate one. And the other one managed to hit the tabaxi. And you're going to take 3 points of damage. And I need you to make a strength saving throw, please.
$17.
Excellent. So this thing hits you and grabbed a hold with one of its talons, and then reaches down and grabs a fistful of your cloak or tunic with its other, and kind of throws its upper arms out as wings almost snap to tautness, almost out of nowhere. and begins to try to fly up in the air. And just for an instant, you feel yourself kind of lifted onto the balls of your feet. But you manage to kind of use your weight to throw yourself closer to the ground and prevent him from taking you into the air.
Does me
Okay.
throwing my body onto him spread the fire to him too?
You didn't throw yourself down onto him, but he's probably not. He's probably a little close to the fire. We'll say that he takes 2 points of fire damage.
Cool. Thought I'd ask.
The one that had breathed upon all of you last time kind of comes back to join the other in the sky, circling. And you see his eyes take on the same kind of sheen as he mimics the same kind of behavior of the first, observing from on high. It will bring us back to the top of the round with Scratch.
Yes, hello, that is me. Is Optimus Fire an action to put out? I can't remember.
I believe so.
Okay. I'll use an action to put it out, and then I will use my cunning action to disengage from the one I'm fighting and back up, head towards Severin in the place where his one double left.
Okay. It's just a short couple of feet away from where you were currently. But you do manage to kind of pull yourself away and put some distance between you and these little hideous creatures. Twanger, you're up.
So, the one that is perched and has this this golden eye, like a predator, sort of caught in moonlight or headlight look. I imagine that Twanger sort of sees that, and you see his eye, the bird eye, get larger and then focus that direction as he has that sort of predatory feel coming from it. And you see the feathers ruffle on his neck, and he has the arrow notched and aimed at one of the ones over near Severin, and then all of a sudden he just turns the bow and releases it at this one with the golden eyes. Trying to more shake the feeling of uneasiness than necessarily hit the target. This one's only a 13.
Okay, so this is actually going to miss based on his natural armor.
Sure. So the arrow flies true, and as this beast is up there and it's looking from side to side, it turns its head just in time, and the arrow scrapes, and it makes this horrendous sound of blade against toughened leather as it slides across the chin of this beast and sinks deep, like 2 inches deep into the tree. It's a sunk next to it, and there's a oh shit moment from Twanger.
Excellent. And it turns its golden-hued eyes in your direction for a moment. And even though its body is flying past, its head kind of stays locked on you for an uncomfortable amount of time. Amalia, you're up.
How far away is the either that one or the closest flying one to her?
I would say they're probably 40 feet.
Okay. In that case, she's going to reach out her hand, and the hand slowly glows this red, hot this red hot hue, and in the center there's this orb that forms, an orb of fire, and then it just blasts out from her hand towards one of the flying creature that's closest to her. Does a 23 hit?
Barely. I
I'm
mean,
assuming yes.
yes, it is.
I don't know. That's 10 fire damage.
All right. This one makes kind of the same painful screeching howl as it's not dead, but it kind of curls up and plummets from the sky. When it hits the ground, it ceases to make noise, as it appears the impact probably finished it off. After Amalia, we have Brutus. Yep, Brutus, you're up.
Is Amalia still in the wagon?
She's by the wagon, not in the wagon,
Okay,
but fairly
dang,
close.
Cool.
Yeah.
You'd hear like kind of a muffled yell. Are they still out there? From underneath the canvas.
What are you doing?
Saving myself. Are they still out there?
No, they're all gone.
And I'd like to listen intently, trying to hear any sounds of their flapping wings or whatever. Any kind of like yells or screams or yips or whatever they do, to see if the threat has truly passed or not.
I'm going to go ahead and give that one to you without a roll, because these things are anything but quiet.
Yeah. But I still hear them.
No, that's just Twanger doing his impression.
Banger, is that you?
No.
Come on, you need to come out and help. Scratch, he's starting to hurt real bad. Come on, please.
I can't help. I'm useless.
You're not useless. You're big and strong, and you have to look at me. I'm helping, and I'm like 3 feet tall. No one is going to think very fondly of you if you stay in there. They're going to think you're awfully ugly on the inside.
Yeah.
And outside.
And like you see like a little face kind of peep up out of the canvas. Like almost like a little burrito, just peeking out to see the commotion going on. And how are these gremlins looking as a whole, as this mob?
They are very beat up, and some of them are still perfectly fine. Others, however, are not going to be returning from wherever they came. So I would say they are maybe a third strength of what they were before.
And how far away, roughly, would they be from the wagon?
About 40 feet. The closest of them.
All right. I'm going to try and find something very invaluable. Sorry, something very unvaluable in the wagon, like a rock or something, like a loose rock that may have, hitchhiked somehow.
Yeah, there's probably like a small log of firewood.
Yeah, I'm gonna just chuck it at the amorphous mass of these gremlins in their general direction, just lobbing it in the air.
All right, so that sounds like an improvised weapon.
It's very much an improvised weapon.
All right, so go ahead and make your dexterity or strength roll, whichever you prefer.
I got a total of 4.
Okay, so you kind of throw it, and it might clear the horse that's pulling the cart that you're in, barely, before it kind of clatters onto the yellow brick road.
There, I helped. And I just kind of like tuck myself back into the canvas. And then I'm done my turn.
Right. So that brings us to Severin. Dave, you're muted, brother.
Severin, thank you. Severin has been trying to shove the stuffing back into this guy, and he looks up into what covers for his eyes and kind of, is it helping? He kind of asks.
I'm not sure. I think so. It feels a little better. Are they dead?
Is there one? I mean, how are they arranged?
There's still one of them in the sky above. 3 of them are kind of slumbering steadily nearby, and the other 2 are still on the ground, one of which just tried to swipe at one of your mirror images. The other is currently latched on, attacking the tabaxi.
I got out of that, though.
Oh, you did? Okay, sorry. Yes.
I got out of that, then took the place of one of his mirror images.
There you go.
Okay. So what I would like to do is the one that is, let me see, up in the sky. How far away from me is the one up in the sky?
The one, he's actually pretty high up. He's probably about 60 feet.
Okay. So, little fucking bugger. And I start rubbing my hands together. First, I do a clap, and then I start rubbing my hands together as it's like this ball of sound starts coming forward from my hand. And with a total of a 23 to hit, I am going to throw a ball of thunder, a chromatic orb, at the one up in the sky. It has a 90-foot range. And this 4-inch diameter sphere of thunder is just tumbling forward to this thing in the sky.
It absolutely collides with him without any trouble at all.
So that is a total of 20 points of damage.
And tell me what it looks like as this thing succumbs to this magical attack.
So I would imagine that this rage, this hate, this fear, this everything that Severin is feeling at the moment is just sort of pushed into this ball of thunder. And as he reared back and he kind of lobbed it like a softball at this thing, it just enveloped it like this shout of thunder as it just ripples through. And if they are bat-like creatures, it just enveloped it in just this wave of sound that was just so, I mean, you could see the skin just flapping and its eyes just sort of wide and bloodshot as its eardrums were bursting and bleeding out as the thing starts soaring down to the ground. And he kind of looks down at the guy and says, well, we'll just keep shoving hay in here.
Between the 2 of you, you manage to get at least most of it, that of which is still in the area, kind of shoved back in. And it seems like he may be able to get a little mobile now. Not very quickly, not very well, but he's definitely starting to get some movement back. Okay, the 2 that were airborne have been taken out. the two that are on the ground, if I'm not mistaken, are still alive. And there are 3 that are currently napping nearby. The 2 that are on the ground are both going to head towards the tabaxi, as that has been their kind of primary opponent. Has been the only one that has kind of been facing them this close. And both of them are going to attempt to claw at Scratch. Okay. Both of them latch on. It's going to be an additional 6 points of slashing damage.
One of them at the last second, because Severin kind of glances over and just throws his hand up like, nah, I didn't see that. So it converts to a 5 as he uses his last portent. And one of them actually kind of misses at the last second as goes to slash and misses.
Yeah, it gets little more than just a couple of threads of cloth that kind of pull free from its taloned little hands. So, Scratch, that's going to leave you to make only one strength check, please. A strength saving throw.
18. How am I doing this well? He has a -1 strength.
They have smiled upon you. And this one also is not able to lift you off the ground, though they surprise you with how strong they seem to be. Okay. That's it for the Grulazu. We're back to the top of the round with Scratch.
Scratch is going to look towards the one that tried to lift him into the air. And he's going to say, not today. And he is going to stab it, hopefully.
All right. Roll it out.
24 to hit.
That'll do it.
That'd be 5 piercing damage as he shoves the short sword into this creature.
If I'm not mistaken, that one was undamaged.
Probably.
So you kind of run this thing through with your blade a bit, and it certainly wounds it, but it's not enough to finish the creature off. These things have a thick hide that's kind of somewhat covered with patchy fur, and it just doesn't quite do the damage that you were hoping.
And then he's going to try and stab at it with his dagger. 11 to hit?
No, that will miss.
Okay. He swings one blade into the beast, and it cries out, and he tries to swing with his dagger at it, but the reach just isn't there with the small blade, and
Yeah, this thing has kind of recoiled from the first stab, and as you took a second slash, it almost made like a spinning turn kind of away from you, hunching itself down to the ground on all fours and kind of glaring at you and curling its lips back to reveal these little sharp, jagged teeth, kind of making a kind of a guttural hiss towards you. Twanger, you're up.
So, with a bit of momentary reluctance after staring down this golden-eyed predator, Twanger does hear Scratch sort of fighting and tussling and perhaps even hissing himself as cats are wont to do, and so he looks back over, seeing these beasts trying to pull him off the ground instead of attempting to shoot the golden-eyed one again. He'll shoot one of the ones that are pulling on the tabaxi. Seeing the blade sink into one of them, figures that betters his chances, and a 19 to hit. and 9 points of damage if it connects. The arrow passing just in front of Scratch's face as it flies upward and buries up underneath the chin and perhaps one of the only soft spots in this leathery hide, the bottom of the jaw there, sinking deep and causing this ichor blood to drip down onto to Scratch.
Yeah, this thing kind of slumps forward, almost forming a tripod with its two front limbs and the arrow shaft kind of going limp, and before it tips over and falls to the ground dead.
You're welcome.
After Twanger, it is Amalia's turn.
Are there any left in the air?
No, the two that were flying are both down. There is one remaining that is conscious, and there are 3 that are asleep.
Okay, she's going to aim another fireball at the one who is still conscious on the ground. Firebolt, sorry. Does a 13 hit?
No, it just misses once again because of his natural armor.
Get it together.
So it kind of zips past him and singes some of this awful looking fur, which creates a not pleasant smell in the immediate area around him. Not that these things have a pleasant smell to start with, but
You do have inspiration as well as your portent. Not to cut you off, Jeremy. Sorry.
oh no, you're good.
Yeah, I think she's going to save her inspiration, but thanks.
Cool.
All right. So after Amalia, we have Brutus.
Brutus is cowering underneath the canvas, and as he recoiled after failing to throw a log of wood, his hand would have brushed a pouch at his side, and like if you're allowing anachronisms, a light bulb would ding above his head, as he immediately begins to kind of unfasten the leather cord, closing this pouch, and from it he would pour a little tiny bit of a silver powder into his palm. Then he would kind of like climb up a little bit out of this wagon, unhiding himself a little bit, and he would just, with his little hand outstretched in front of his mouth, he'd blow as the silver powder shimmers in the light and begins to kind of catch on the skin of these little gremlins. So it's kind of a 20-foot area. I want to catch as many of these little dudes as I can. A 20-foot cube.
Okay, so you'd either be able to get the 3 that are unconscious or the one that is conscious and one of the sleeping ones.
I'll do 1 conscious and then 1 unconscious.
And they need a saving throw of some kind?
Dexterity saving throw, DC 13.
Okay. The unconscious one fails. The conscious one, I'm going to give disadvantage. And fails miserably.
All right, so any attack roll against those 2 creatures have advantage, as I just cast Fairy Fire on them.
Excellent. Yes, they both start kind of glittering and sparkling a little as this stuff is settled upon them. Which will bring us to Severin.
All right. So we have the sleeping ones that are still, or did he just wake one?
It didn't do damage, so I don't think it wakes up.
No. And we're still not within the 1 minute mark. So
Oh, no.
how many are still alive?
4 of them are still alive, but 3 of those are unconscious.
How far away from me is it?
Probably 15 feet, give or take.
Okay. All right. So Severine begins muttering, just kind of mumbling to himself as he kind of pulls this ivy out of his pouch. And he's just, as he's crumbling it in his hands, you see this rainbow of colors as he just sort of blows it forward. And you see color spray that sprays out 15 feet in a cone in front of him towards the one that's still alive. And there's a 10d6
Just start saying random numbers. I wouldn't do that. That's cruel.
So it's 35 hit points.
Yes, absolutely. That well encompasses him. So
as you see this
Am I
swirling
also
like rainbow of colors
colorful?
just sort of fly forward as
Yeah.
color spray envelops 15 feet in a cone away from Severine. And unfortunately, it might actually envelop any of my partners who are in, but there is only one enemy currently up, so I'm aware of that.
yeah, I think you were able to kind of place it so that Scratch was not included in the area, as this thing was almost 15 feet away from you, or was 15 feet away from you as it was. The cone pretty much catches the majority of this creature and stops before ever reaching Scratch, although it would probably be right up in his face.
Yeah, he's probably looking at the colors, these pretty rainbow colors that are flashing and dazzling before his eyes.
Not the first time he was almost hit by something.
And what is it that this spell does? What does it do whenever it takes hold of this creature?
Blinds, I believe.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. So basically, it stuns the creature for ascending colors and hit points affected by the spell are blinded. Okay, they're blinded until the spell ends, and okay, so they're blinded. My bad.
So this thing starts flipping out and kind of almost like using the knuckles of its clawed hands to kind of softly kind of dig into its eyes as it screams and kind of flops around on the ground, trying to figure out what has been done to it. Needless to say, it ceases its attacks on your tabaxi friend.
Okay, and Severine says, "Kill it! Kill it!"
And it is at the mercy of whomever is going to take the opportunity, as are the three that are still slumbering.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, take it out on him.
I'm going to... Sorry, hit my laptop. I'm going to drop my dagger and pull out my other short sword. I'm going to flip them down into a reverse grip. Stab it down into them.
As you do so, that one ceases to move. And it's not long before your group is able to dispatch the remaining of these creatures. And strangely enough, when the last one of them dies, there's but a brief pause before they all crumble into stone. Little broken pieces of stone scattering in the immediate area where their bodies were just moments before.
think
After
Twinger
you-
wants to sing a dirge for him.
As you notice this is happening and the battlefield kind of returns to calm, you notice that Suvarok is making an awful lot of noise over by the wagon. And Marius is slumped back in his seat, his head kind of flung backwards, looking up at the sky.
Scratch, after the fight, kind of falls onto one knee, and he's breathing pretty heavily. Let's all try to fight together next time.
Maybe if some of us actually fought, then this would have been a little bit easier. The spirits are not happy. Not happy at all.
Well, but he's still pretty. As Severin is kind of slowly trying to carry this straw man closer to the wagon.
Oh, I'm glad he's safe and sound. I'm glad all of us are unharmed and unendangered. Whew.
And
I
as you
was
look
really
up,
worried.
Brutus, you see the eyes of Marius kind of rolled up in the top of his head, almost upside down, looking you straight in the face.
Hey, you couldn't even check on Marius?
And I immediately would clamber as quick as I can to inspect and investigate what the heck is going on with Marius. This is very, very strange and disturbing, and my helping instincts would kick in.
He's old. That's what happened.
You notice that no small portion of him is burned by acid.
I begin no, kind of clutching his hand and holding his head back and cradling it, and I'm looking and panicking back at the rest of my party. No, they got him. I start cradling his head in my chest.
There is no response from him. No movement, no sound. He is completely and totally limp.
Can I make an arcane check? Or is it just he looks like he's been damaged?
Your guess is that the acid probably either killed him outright or caused him to suffer some kind of other, hemorrhage or heart attack, something to that effect. But he definitely looks like he's dead.
Well,
The bouquet of purple flowers, which had been uncovered in the moving about of the canvas, have acid-eaten holes through many of their petals. The vase itself is clay, but the acid has eaten enough material away that the water that was contained within it has been leaking.
From the side of the wagon, looking at the old man, I don't think there's anything I can do. Right? I mean, he looks like he's even beyond magic.
at least probably the magic that any of you would have access to.
Right. So
Maybe we
I'll...
can take him to the. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
The White Queen.
Yeah, we could take him there.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Marius. I'm so sorry. I should have done better. I could have done better. Oh, Marius.
Scratch is gonna take his short sword and he's gonna grab hold of a group of flowers along the trail. And he's going to cut them off.
This scarecrow person who is halfway standing of his own volition with the help of Severin kind of looks on quizzically. And Suvarok caws for a moment longer at Marius, and then turns and flies the short distance over to the shoulder of the scarecrow and finds purchase there.
Ironic.
He kind of looks at the crow for a moment.
Oh, who is this man?
Marius. He was a kindly fellow, Marius.
Something about him. Something about him seems familiar. As if from a dream, perhaps, but I cannot remember. I cannot recall. I have trouble remembering anything for very long.
Scratch is going to take the small bundle of flowers that he just cut off, and he's going to walk towards the wagon with his head downturned.
Severine stuntedly is walking forward with Dempsey back on his shoulder. And he walks over to Brutus. And he puts his hand on his shoulder, his right shoulder. And he holds his hand up and he slaps him as hard as he can across the face. That is a total of a 13 to hit.
Well, that's plenty. That's plenty enough to hit me.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere, so that makes contact.
The next time you are cowardice like that, I'm gonna let that fucking Kenku eat you. And that's the last time I'm gonna say anything about this. And he squeezes his shoulder. You're a good boy. Let's just stop this. You are worth more than that.
I'm just like awestruck and like confused. Like I did nothing wrong. I have no combat ability. And you're like making me, you're like yelling at me for this, and I'm just very confused. Like a child that's getting scolded for something they didn't do wrong, like they had no control of. It's just kind of like this weird confusion and just bewilderment is on my face. But I'm silent. I don't speak up to your remark.
I think he likes lizard though.
Scratch is going to put the bundle of flowers onto Marius's lap.
Hiding.
What's bouncing around in there?
Well, I mean, hiding may not have been the bravest thing to do, but he's not the one who spit acid all over the old man. And
Yeah.
there was a bunch of us over here. It would have come this way anyway. I'm not excusing him. He's a stupid lizard. Just
A shovel! A shovel! Does anybody have a shovel?
are you trying to bury him?
No, to unbury, to uncover. Quickly!
He kind of looks around, rather frantic and rather animated at this point.
Well, Brutus, did you meet any shovels under the tarp?
Did I meet any shovels under the tarp? And were they noteworthy enough to have drinks with later?
Yes, but they only like battle-hardened warriors. So
okay. Right. I'll
they
relay
didn't want
that
to see
to...
anything.
Yeah.
But no, there are no shovels in the wagon.
I'll give a curt, like, and almost like embarrassed, like I'm afraid to speak up kind of thing. Just a quick shake of the head. I'm super embarrassed and scolded or whatever. I don't want to voice my opinion here, so I'm just gonna very meekly. That's the word I'm looking for. Meekly shake my head.
I don't think any of us have shovels.
Yeah, and Severine, like, here's Brutus saying this, and he's like, sound off, like you got a pair.
What do you need to dig up?
Scarecrow, meanwhile, has kind of wandered away from where you're all kind of collected at the wagon.
It's just... Oh, it's around... Oh, where did I see it? It's... Oh, there it is. There.
And he kind of wanders off into the field a bit to where there's a small little scrappy tree that looks like it's been around for a while, though it's short in stature. And you can see that there is a shovel that has been placed kind of in one of the Ys of this tree. But it's been there for a very long time, as the tree has actually grown around the wooden handle of the shovel. He kind of stops as he walks up to it and stares down at it blankly for kind of an uncomfortable amount of time.
Penny for your thoughts.
You found your shovel.
Yes, but... well, the tree seems to have swallowed it. Would someone be willing to help me pull this out, or perhaps break it, and maybe I could... Oh, yes, of course.
And he reaches with one of his hands and dislocates his other arm and slides it out of his sleeve and kind of holds it aloft as if it's the solution to the problem.
I could put this on the shovel head. I could use this to replace the handle.
Well, we've gone this far, and I'll walk over and grab the head of the shovel with both my feathery hands, and I'll pull until the shovel head snaps.
The wood that it was attached to is fairly well rotted, having been weathered for some time, and it doesn't take much to pull the rusty shovel head kind of free. And within moments, you're able to, if you wish to help him, or he'll do it on his own. He's fashioned himself a crude shovel from this leftover head and his.
That's different. How do you plan on working the shovel with only one arm?
Very. Oh. Well, yes, you.
And I'll take the shovel from him.
All right, where are we digging?
He kind of, almost timidly, kind of uses his arm that's still attached to point to a spot on the ground where you can see, it looks like recently there was a post that had been buried here, but the post has since been uprooted. There's nowhere in sight.
I'll walk over and I'll place the head of the shovel down against the dirt, and I look back at everybody else.
If anyone says anything about this, the shovel's head won't be the only one I snap off.
And I'll start digging until the scarecrow tells me to stop.
The soil here is, though not recently, it has been tilled pretty often. It's planted here, it looks like, has simply taken over from what would normally be a field full of crops. So it doesn't take long for you to dig down feet or so. And when you do, the shovel makes kind of a scraping noise. And as you pull away that shovelful, you find bones, humanoid bones. It looks to be a rib cage and a few other protruding bones sticking away from it.
Okay. Is there a reason you have me digging this up?
Yes, of course, there is a reason. I don't recall what it was, though. Forgive me. I have a very hard time remembering things for very long. I'm very, very forgetful. You know him. I'm very sorry.
He walks over and kind of puts his arm that's still attached kind of around your shoulders and kind of tries to pat you comfortingly.
Thinking he's putting something together, Twinkle starts looking around. I'm looking around. Are there remnants of these purple flowers? Can I see perhaps an aged, withered stalk of them laying over here?
Yeah, I would say so. There's a few of them that are probably growing nearby. Looks like maybe they had seeded at some point.
So, this is where he buried you.
I'm sorry. Did you say buried me?
Not you. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Is that? No, 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 no. That's not. You can't. And then, if he did, and then he sent in the bird, and that's why it. But he's the. And then the. What the hell? Hey, Severine? Can, yeah. This is weird even by my standards. All right. So, hear me out here, right?
Bird brain.
Yeah, that's cute. So there's a body here. Well, parts of it. Maybe all of it, right? And then these this field of purple flowers things, and somewhere around here was where the old man's friend was buried, right? Or the body he called a friend. Yeah. Do you remember how he said that the body that he had to dispose of had its
Its brain?
Yeah, scooped out.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said that his friend, he thought, had sent him this the bird.
You think Severus has the brain? Suvrak.
No. I think that he didn't bury the body far enough away from the Black Forest, and that the magic that's there invaded this area and caused the scarecrow to I think the magic done screwed up, and I think that guy's inside the scarecrow.
Oh, the ring. Yes, of course.
And the scarecrow kind of jumps down into this hole that you've dug.
What?
It begins using his free hand to kind of move more of the dirt away, exposing more bone. Soon, he uncovers a hand. And upon the bony finger of this hand is a plain silver band, which he very, very carefully and very clumsily, with effectively stick hands, removes the ring from the finger of this skeleton and kind of holds it aloft for a moment.
Congratulations, you passed grave robbing 101.
Shh.
Yeah.
What'd you get? Is that what ring is that? Is that a signet ring?
I don't know.
He doesn't remember because his brain was scooped out.
There's a word. Itaksufbo.
When he says this word, the plain band becomes incredibly ornate looking. Very expensive looking ring. And he kind of slides it onto the finger of his hand.
Oh, yes. This was my ring. This belonged to me, but a different kind of me. I don't understand.
If you've ever seen a bird with a "I told you so" look on his face, right here.
Just okay.
So now we need to take you to the White Queen.
What? Do we need to take... Wait, which him? This him or that him?
Both.
Yuck.
Marius didn't deserve it.
No. Those things that were attacking you. Why were they attacking you?
I don't know. They seemed like they wanted something. They kept they were tearing me apart, trying to get inside of me or something. I don't know.
Gross.
Should I remember why?
I mean, you don't have to. It would be helpful.
I'm sorry for not being more helpful.
No, you've been through a lot, I guess. Most people don't look so put together after being so taken apart.
Well,
Yeah, I wonder something.
I'm going to take his stick arm back out of the shovel and maneuver it back up inside of his shirt, and then I'm gonna rub my fingers or my palms together until I get a glowing feather that comes off, and I'm going to brush it across him, and I'm going to cast mending on him to see if it repairs any of the holes in his scarecrowish body.
It functions, but it functions as if almost a weakened version of the spell. You see parts of him kind of knit back together, and some of the fabric and things of his body and his shirt kind of come back together, but there's other parts that don't really seem to respond to the magic.
I don't know what I was expecting. So, do you have a name?
yes, of course. Well, oh dear. I don't remember.
Is it on your ring?
I don't know. No. No, it says, oh, that's odd. The ring says obfuscate. What is this word? Is that my name?
Sure. I mean, it's not, but we can call you Ob.
Ob. Yes, I like that. I'm Ob.
And odd.
Mm-hmm.
Obfuscate. So, to stay hidden? That's a fancy word for a farming tool. But then again, you weren't always a farming tool. Hey, I'm a llama.
He wasn't
Hey,
always
the great
a scarecrow either.
Hmm?
Do you think you could turn on your spirit talk for a second and maybe ask around, look around, whatever it is, and maybe there's something here that can help out Ob? Explain to him why he's inside of a stick figure and not inside of a skeleton figure?
I mean, I could. I would.
Mm-hmm.
But the
You
death
can
of...
speak to the spirits?
Yes, of course I can. But
Oh.
this death has gotten me so troubled, I'm not sure how well the connectivity would be.
This body. You say it's me. So the
Yes.
spirits, you may be able to ask them what happened to me.
At some point, perhaps. I think the best course of action is to get to the White Queen. I think that she would have more answers in this strange place.
I see.
He seems genuinely disappointed.
I am very sorry.
Well, I guess we should. There's a joke in here somewhere about being beside yourself. But I guess we should get you up on, well, that you up on the wagon. And are we taking Marius with us also? Or are we,
Of course.
Well, I mean, 50-50 shot, right? We stick him in this hole and build a scarecrow. We come back a week later and he might be here.
Yeah, who knows
We're
what he'd
taking
be
him.
like.
Well, I'd guess about 5'10", little straw-like complexion. No?
We're taking Marius. And this
Okay.
is much more serious than you guys have ever seen Scratch about something.
Wow. Oh. Down, kitty. We're taking Marius. And his bones. And a scarecrow. And should we take one of the dead? Never mind. There are a bunch of petals.
Pebbles.
The rocks? The flying things?
Oh, right. Rocks, yeah. Stones. Yeah, we need to get moving.
So, which way is the White Queen, seeing as how our guide is yeah.
No longer with us.
Oh, he's with us. Just
Conscious.
If that's the way the Black Forest, White's probably the other way.
I love how your simple mind works.
The scarecrow is kind of standing in the middle of the yellow brick road, looking both directions. And when he looks to the west, the direction that you have not traveled yet on this road, he says,
I would rather not go that way.
I would have to agree with him. After all, didn't Marius say that those flying things were from some wizard or something in that direction? He said like the warlock of the west or something.
Which of the West?
Which warlock? Whatever.
So we go east.
I think so.
All right, well, let's get going. This place, it's not good for the spirits.
Is Suvrok coming with us?
I think Suvrok has found his friend. And I kind of look over and see this large, crow sitting on the shoulder of the scarecrow.
yeah, and Suvrok kind of lets out just a single caw.
So we head east.
Yeah. Tonight, when we camp, we're going to need to make a big fire.
A big fire.
Yes.
Why is that?
We'll need the ash. I don't know about you, but I don't want to travel with a rotting body. But if we wrap him in cloth and pack him with ash, it'll slow it down.
Hmm.
Trust me, my people know a lot about the carrion in our lesser days.
Lesser days, you say? Okay.
And as you load Marius's body and the bones that you unearth, which you discover a large portion of the back part of its skull is missing, with to comply with the story that Marius had told you. You take Marius's swayback nag and his cart and turn it around on the yellow brick road and head eastward back into this forest of Baja that you were told about, the home of the Kesir, with the hope that eventually you might be able to make your way to wherever this White Queen is to seek her help. Everyone,
Scratch
that's all I've got for
is
tonight.
staring
No, go ahead, please.
down Brutus in the wagon the whole time, holding on to his wounds, flipping a knife, throws it right next to Brutus, and he says, "Use that next time. I can show you how to use it."
And Brutus is like reels back from it as if it was like a hot potato or something. Like, you know, just it's this most preposterous thing he's ever seen in his life. And he would visibly recoil. Oh no, not one of those. I can't trouble myself with one of those. It looks very painful, I'd say. I'll pass, thank you. But thank you.
Would it be more painful to lose someone again?
I mean, if it'll comfort you, so I'll take it. And then he kind of like reaches out for it, but like in a way, you know, how a person that's never actually tried to grab a blade from someone else before tries to reach out. It's just, you know, a very awkward ordeal. And he'll take that blade.
And as this motley crew kind of rumbles eastward, we kind of see them passing away further and further into the forest. And then we're zooming over the countryside, over a dark forest with gnarled trees. And we see a black castle, a place called the Black Keep. And immediately we head directly for one of its spiring towers, where we see stone statues, not unlike the creatures that were faced on the road, decorating various places on this castle. And as we get closer to this gnarled tower, we enter one of its highest windows, where a bright green light has been shining from within. We see a massive iron cauldron sitting in the middle of the room, heated by an unnatural fire, burning green and flickering. The surface, though you can tell it is hot because there is steam rising from it, is smooth, glass-like. And the woman with a long, tall, pointed black hat with a wide brim, leaning over the edge of the cauldron, lets out a blood-curdling scream. Anger and frustration. And that's it. Everyone, thank you so very, very much for tuning in this evening. Thank you very much for watching later, if you may be doing so. Thank you to these fantastic players for once again breathing life into this setting. Before I wrap everything up, I'm going to hand it off to them for their outros, and then yeah, we'll say good night. So before we do so, let's start it off with Dave.
Hey, folks. Again, I'm Dave, and it's been a pleasure to play with these fine folks this evening. I don't get to play with Steve Fillmore as often as I'd like, and also Connor and Megan. But maybe we can remedy that in the future. This has been a lot of fun. I mean, almost I could imagine it being a campaign, but we'd have to see about that. A lot of them going on right now. Anyway, I had a blast playing Severing Gibbo, the old fart that he was. And have a good night.
Excellent. And Megan.
Yeah, hey everyone, I'm Megan, and as always, never fails to disappoint. I always have an absolutely phenomenal time with Jeremy as DM and the wonderful players. So yeah, it was fun to kind of blow off the dust of this old character, and yeah, I had a blast, so thank you so much.
Absolutely. And thank you for coming back on for 2 nights in a row. It's always a pleasure to have you. And Connor, number 2.
Hi, everyone. As Jeremy says, my name is Connor. It's always great to play with all of these people. I've played with Connor and Megan a bunch of times before with Cryfoth and Jeremy. This is keeping up the quality of your stuff.
Thank you, man.
I run the channel Versatile Diecaster. It's got some videos up and a live play going up on Sunday. So tune in for that if you want. Don't come if you don't want to.
Fair enough. Yes. And yeah, like I said, you're going to get me that link, and I will add it to the description of this video probably right whenever we're done here, so I don't forget about it. Steve, you're up.
So just like last time, it was a blast. Jeremy, I absolutely love playing with you, man. You're a very incredible storyteller. I love some of the subtle hints that get dropped and the characters. I thought your Scarecrow voice was amazing. I loved it. And it's always fun to play with Megan, Connor, and Dave. Like they're such great players. I do have the YouTube channel 3D6, but I'm also doing this little thing called Save versus Tweet on Twitter. And so every day I put up NPCs, magic items, plot hooks, and locations. So if you want to follow that, that'd be amazing. I enjoy doing that. It's a lot of fun. Give me some feedback on it. But again, I appreciate the chance to play, man. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely, man. And it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining us, especially for the second time around. I'm glad that we were able to get you in, even if it meant, we ended up postponing, not because of you, because of shit that happened on my end, but yeah. I'm glad that it ended up working out where everybody was able to play again. And last but certainly not least, Connor, number 1.
Hey there. I had a lot of fun playing tonight. I was worried that I had forgotten what had happened and what the characters were like, but immediately within the first minute or so, it all just came back. Just this tidal wave of memories and nostalgia and all the witty jokes by our little bard. It was awesome. I'm super excited to see how this story continues and pans out. I'm excited to, have Steve lambast us and scold us and just insult us in the future. And it's awesome. Love you guys.
Love is mutual, Connor. Thank you. Everybody, this has been another episode of the Erasmus Expeditions. I am Jeremy. I've also got the podcast that I run with my friends Jeff Doty and Chad Nick. We've got 3 episodes out now. We are called The Dudes of Yore. We are found on YouTube. Definitely go check us out. Check out all of these people's channels and projects that they've got going on. Join us in the Absolute Tabletop official Facebook group where games like this get made on the regular. And they're filled with fantastic people who know what they're doing, running games as well as playing. It's just an absolute pleasure to be able to run games for players like this who grab a hold of a setting and don't let go. It's a great feeling as a storyteller. I forgot Megan. What are you talking about? Dave, get me in trouble, man. Anyways, all right, everyone. I had a fantastic time. Until next time, may your dice roll high and your snacks always be within reach.